Hello, last time I showed you how to sell PDF tutorials on your blog using a Buy Now button from PayPal. I mentioned in that tutorial that depending on how you edited the page around that button, the HTML code was liable to break. Now this has turned out to be more of an issue with Blogger than I expected, so I wanted to hop on and do another video and show you some kind of ways to fix that issue. So you'll see this page that we created last time has got the Buy Now button on it, and it was simply made using the code from PayPal, okay? And you'll see that if I click on this and open it in a new tab, that it should load, and it's got that £10 there already, which shows that it's linked to my £10 tutorial that I set up as a test last time, okay? However, if I now go back into Blogger and open that page and edit it at all in the visual editor, so for example, if I just simply take away those three dots, I'm going to then click Update. So I've made a change to that page in the visual editor. And then now if I refresh this page so that those updates are shown, now if I click and open that in another page, you'll see that it doesn't have any kind of link to that product, which means that my button code isn't working as I want it to. So that's going to be frustrating, and it's going to mean that all your hard work setting up a button has kind of been wasted. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to come up with different ways of doing this, because obviously, particularly if you have a large sale page with lots of tutorials listed, you're probably going to be adding to that over time. You're not going to just create it once, so you need to be aware that these buttons need to be fixed if you go back in and edit them. Now, the simplest way of doing it is actually to make sure that the buttons are always the last bit of code that you put in. So for example, if I was adding in another tutorial, I would add in that tutorial and then go back and replace all of the code for my buttons. Now I say that's the easiest way of doing it. It's the easiest, but it's the most time consuming, because anytime you edit this page, you would have to go over to PayPal, copy that code again, go back to edit the page, switch to the HTML editor, which has actually moved over to the left here since that last video, and replace that code every single time. So you'd have to replace that code on every button that you had, okay? Now you'll see if I refresh it, because I've replaced that code, this button now works again. Okay, so again, it's linked to that product. It's showing that price already there for me. Okay, but I can imagine that that is going to be pretty annoying if you had, say, even 5 tutorials on that page to go in, to go to your save buttons, and to grab that HTML code every single time you edit it and update every single button. That's going to take a lot of time, and that's going to be rather annoying. If you've only got one tutorial, then that's fine. Just make sure that the last thing that you do is put in that HTML code, and then don't edit the page, and then it will keep working. Okay, but there is another way of doing this. We need to go back to PayPal and change the code that we get to make our button work. So log into your PayPal account and go to paypal.com/buttons, and then click to view your saved buttons. You don't need to change the button. You've already done the hard work. You've made it. We're just going to change the code that we take. There is a slight proviso, and in order to explain that, I'm actually just going to hop into the editing panel, okay, just to show you what I mean. In order for this other method to work, the button needs to be as simple as possible, which means that you can't use any of these options, okay? These require the button to work as a form, which is the way that we've embedded the code already, which has the potential to break, okay? If you don't use any of these options, it means you can use a simple link, which I'm about to show you. So I haven't made any changes. I'm just going to click Save so that I can get to the next page. Okay, so before we took this code, and as you can see, it's a form, okay, and that's what Blogger has a problem with, okay, that's what it keeps editing. It edits one aspect of this form that means that it doesn't work. So instead, we are going to take the email option, okay, and this, as you can see, is a very simple clickable link, okay, it's just like any other link, and we can use it like any other link in our blog, okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to hop back over to edit our page in Blogger, and I am just going to put some text which I'm going to use for my link. So very simply, click to purchase. Okay, remember that this button doesn't actually work at the minute. I'm creating a workable button. Okay, click to purchase. I'm just going to highlight it, and then I'm going to click to insert a link, okay? And it's going to be linked to a web address. So I need to hop back over to my PayPal window, highlight that code, sorry, that link rather, copy that link, and then I can just paste it into this box here, okay? And I'm going to open it in a new window, which is an added advantage of this method. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. Right, so now if I update this, okay, I can then update my post, and you'll see that the link is here, and this I can click, and it opens up in a new tab, and you'll see that again it's got this screen here which has got the value for my product there, which is how I know that it's working. Okay, whereas again if I click this one, which was the button that we put in before, okay, it's not got that information, so that's the broken button. Okay, so what we just want to test is that if I go in and now make an edit to this in some way, okay, so I've just edited it in some way. So you remember that last time when I made just a really simple edit to it, the button broke. Okay, I've now saved the changes. If I refresh again, what we don't want to happen is this link to break. So if I click this, it opens in a new tab, and you'll see that this time, she says, as it takes a while to load. No, there we go. So this time you'll see that again, this £10 is there, it's working, it's got the information for my product. That link hasn't broken. Okay, so that means that you can edit the page to your heart's desire, and it won't break your buttons. You won't have to go back and replace them every single time. Now, just a little point here, you might not like to use words for your link. You might want to use an image. Okay, now you could just make your own Buy Now button image and then add the link over that image, but there is a way that you can actually still use the PayPal button image, okay, and add this link over the top. Now what we need to do that is get the kind of the link for this image that's hosted by PayPal. Okay, now if you've already got your hosted button in your blog, you can actually grab it from the code. So we're going to flick to the HTML view, and what we're looking for is an image URL, okay? And it's this one here, okay? Because it ends in GIF, okay? So that's a GIF or a GIF. As we know, that's an image file, okay? So what we can do is we can now just highlight that URL and copy it, okay? Then if we switch back to the Compose view, just going to add a few lines so that we can differentiate by this. Okay, I then want to click to add an image. Okay, and because we've got the URL for the image, we're going to click to add the image by URL. And we're just going to paste that URL there, and you see it's popped up here. Okay, so I'm going to click to insert that image. Okay, and it's come down at the bottom here. We can play around with the there we go. Okay, so we can play around with the formatting a bit. Okay, so what we can do is now add the link over the top for our button. Okay, so what we do is we highlight it, and the same thing here. We want to edit the link. At the minute it's just linking to the image, but what we want to do is again go back to PayPal and get that same link that we used before. That's our little clickable link for our button. Okay, and we're going to paste it in that box there. I'm going to do the same thing as I did before, and I'm just going to click OK. So now I've got a PayPal button, official looking PayPal button, that links in the same way as this one does, which means that it shouldn't break if I were to edit this page. So I'm going to click to update. Okay, I'm going to refresh. Okay, so you see I've now got the button here again. So what I can do, what I should be able to do, is click on this, and it should open a new tab, and it again should show my £10 product. Okay, there. Okay, so this means that this button is working. But again, remember it was when we edited that we came up into difficulties. So I'm going to again just edit something on this page. Remember last time it broke. Okay. Okay, just adding some silly text here just for something to say. So I'm going to click update again. And then can see lots of annoying testing going on here. Okay, but I've refreshed it, I've updated the page, I've refreshed it. So now if this button was like the other one, it would break and it wouldn't show that £10 product. But because I've done it slightly differently, it stays working and I've still got that £10 product there. Okay, so this means that again, you wouldn't have to edit that button every time you update your page, and it still looks like a PayPal button. Okay, there's nothing different between these two in how they look. It's just that this one works. And again, just to show, if I click on that one doesn't work. Okay, so that was the form embedded code. That one doesn't work. The one with the clickable link, just the simple URL, that one does work. Okay, so that's showing you how to do it in Blogger. Now, WordPress actually has an advantage. WordPress used to be bad for this, but now, because of the block editor, WordPress is a lot better. So because we have put the form code into an HTML block, that seems to protect it. And I've tried to break this code, but I haven't been able to do it. And that's a good thing. However, you can still do exactly the same thing in WordPress if you just wanted to use the simple link, if you're just a bit worried about it breaking and you're just happier to know that it will always work no matter what you do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this block. Sorry, I missed it there. Okay, I'm just going to duplicate it so you see that I've got just another one underneath just to make it easy for us to see. So I'm just going to put this as V2 to make it obvious. Okay, now instead of this, I'm just going to get rid of this hosted button block. I'm going to get rid of that block. Okay, and instead I'm just going to write some text. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Sorry, I'm going to add another block first. So I'm going to click to add another block. I'm going to add a paragraph. I'm going to do it with the text first. So I'm going to say click to purchase. Okay, so same thing. Just going to highlight, click for the link, hop to PayPal, and then copy that code. Ooh, whoops. Go right back in, put that in there, and then click to open in a new tab. Okay, and just click that so it's accepted. Okay, so that will be a clickable link on the front end of my website. Okay, so I can then click update. Okay, I can click to view this page. And then now you'll see that, well, first you'll see that if I click this one, it hasn't broken to start with, so that HTML block is actually kind of protecting our form code, so that's a good improvement that we've seen in the WordPress editor. Okay, but if I do just want to do it with a link rather than with the image, okay, so I can just click on that link and I get to exactly the same screen. Okay, now again, if you want to do it with the button instead of with text, then that's really easy. Okay, so again, what we would need is we'd need that image URL so we can actually see it on this same page. So it's this bit right to the end here because it ends in that GIF, that GIF or that GIF. Okay, so I'm going to just copy that bit of code. That URL is for the image. Okay, I'm going to choose a block here, and because it's an image, surprise, surprise, I'm going to choose an image block. And I'm going to, again, use the insert from URL option. I'm going to paste that URL in there. It's going to insert that button from that URL that's hosted on PayPal. And exactly the same thing. I'm going to then insert a link over the top, hop back to PayPal, copy that simple link, paste it there. Then I just need to hit this to find the open new tab option. Okay, and then just click that so that it's done. Okay, and then if I click off that, I can then click to update and then refresh my page. Okay, so you'll see that now I've got this button here, and if I click on that button, it does exactly the same thing. It opens up that link and it's got my product loaded there. Okay, so it's linking through to my product as it should do. Back on the blog, we can just double check that that has been unaffected by any of the other edits, and it hasn't. Okay, so one last thing, you'll see that when I have added this second kind of tutorial product, which I would imagine you would want to do on this kind of page, you'll see that there's no actual spacing between these blocks, even though it looks like there should be on the editing page. And what we can do is we can use a very useful little block to make sure that there's some spacing added. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to select this whole block, and because this was the second one, we're going to click to insert a block before, and then click on this plus, and what we're looking for is a separator or a divider. So it doesn't matter which one you type in, it will come up. Okay, so you've got a separator, and I'm just going to add that block in. Okay, so you see it's really faint there, but if I now update this and then refresh the blog page itself, okay, you'll now see that there's a very, very faint line between those two, but it's kind of very clearly separated them. You can actually style this, and your theme may make it look different anyway. And that's just a quick block tip to finish off this video. I hope that's been useful and explains how you can fix your buttons if they break, or in fact use a completely different method to make sure that they don't break in the first place. As ever, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And don't forget to join my tech help group on Facebook.